was really a wonderful time in Atlanta, too, because of Maynard Jackson. He was a really forward-thinking mayor and really created a home for the arts here. I mean, he supported it by giving money and created a lot of, like, fledgling companies, including Jumandy, which was a very strong African-American company for a long time here in Atlanta. And so I give a lot of credit to Maynard that we were able to get money and kind of get a foothold.
Now, as you guys were, establishing your company, did you have in mind the type of productions that you wanted to do? I know you say you want to be cutting edges, but were there a couple particular, or one in particular, you said, I knew I want to start with this first?
I surely did. We wanted to produce Sam Shepard plays, because in the early 80s, he was being produced around the country, but by small theaters and not by any major theaters, and that was more or less by his choice. And so, well, we thought we'll bring him to the South. And at that time, there was also another group called Kelly's Seed and Feed Theater, and they had a warehouse over in Midtown, and they were producing some Shepard plays. But when we opened this theater in 1979, we did The Tooth of Crime, which is Sam Shepard's famous play that he started in England with his friend Tim Curry, who played the lead role. And so,
in the West End. They were playing in the West End, same time we were playing here.
So The Tooth of Crime means everybody's doing time for everybody else's crime. And we thought, well, that's sort of how we think about things. We need to address that in our work. And so we kind of kept true to a vision that was politically, socially, culturally, environmentally progressive. And we stuck to our guns through many complaints and questions over the years, and that formed the basis of what Seven Stages is.
But we had lots of praise as well, not just complaints, but people really liked what we were doing and felt that they had an opportunity to see something that wasn't, the same old thing that you see all the time, so to speak. Kind of plays like that we consider sort of wrapped up like a present and tied with a bow, and then, so we wanted to engage the audience, and so we deliberately tried to do things that were, spiritually, intellectually, artistically challenging for them as well as for the actors.
And we came up with a title through the I Ching, which is an Oriental system of philosophy, and Faye tells a wonderful explanation of that, so I'll defer to her about that.
Okay, so we wanted a name, and we wanted a name that was significant, because we believe, as I think a lot of people do, is that your name is important. And in some traditions you have a secret name and a spiritual name, and the name your mother gives you, and then a name you change when you're an adult. And so all of this sort of mystery around names and the power of names. So we threw the I Ching coins and came up with Fu, which is return in English, and it's the very center and the very core of the I Ching, which is a powerful thing. And it talked about a number of different things. Bringing light into the darkness was one that we held on to forever, even until now. And it seems to be, no matter how you look at our work, that seems to kind of explain it. But there were other wonderful ideas in it, as well as thunder under the mountain, which we felt like we could create energy, then eventually would come forth. And our logo is the solstice tree and the solstice moon, which is, it was a little bit confusing to people. They thought maybe it was Halloween or something, We were like, no. It's like the new sun, the new moon. It's, again, bringing light into the darkness. It's something that's beginning, and here we are. And we've had several situations that we could really feel that power. We did a show about the Holocaust, and I played Elsa Tabori, who was a woman who escaped or was released from Auschwitz, and was an African-American high school here, and there were lots of kids in the lobby after the show. And one young man who was so thoughtful, and he said to me, I never knew about the Holocaust. He said, I thought that my people were the only people who had been persecuted. And so I almost cried when he told me that, because, that's eye-opening information for a young man, or any young person. So.
Wow. So you guys intentionally chose to, I guess, create material that challenges and expose certain parts of our society that normally doesn't get,
exactly.
attention.
Just to add to, the I Ching is 3 coins with Chinese symbols on them. You throw the coins like dice, and you add up the numbers, and our number added, and then there's a book that has the descriptions of what the numbers mean. And so what Faye was describing was some of the descriptors from that paragraph in the book for our number 24, was it?
64, I think.
And one of a volcano is about to erupt, and a person goes through 7 stages in order to change his or her consciousness. And that's what we thought about our neighborhood and about the condition of the world we were in, that things were about to explode, but in order to do anything about it, you have to be patient and go through these changes to become enlightened. And so we thought 7 stages should be part of that, however you fit into those stages. And so we maintained it, and a lot of people still can buy into that understanding.
It's really represented the totality of human experience, because if you think of it like the 7 chakras, if you're familiar with those, you start at the root chakra and then you have the crown chakra. So we wanted to explore all the dynamics of humanity and the world that we lived in by addressing those issues. So some were a little bit more, like gutty, and others were more ethereal.
Wow. So this has a metaphysical meaning to it.
You bet.
Absolutely.
And,
Hope so.
It has from the day one.
Wow. All this time I was just thinking 7 stages. Like, there's 7 stages inside
Oh,
the building?
yeah. I know, a lot of people love that.
I was like, I've only seen 2. It must be like 5 more.
They're in here.
How cool. How cool.
Thanks.
And, I like to ask this kind of question. So were there any alternatives to the name that you guys were kind of had on your short list?
Probably. I
The
don't
Little
remember.
5 Points Theater, everything was sort of institutional sounding. And we wanted something that people would scratch their head and say, whoa, what's that about? And then when they found out a little bit about it, they would say, oh, I need to go there. Instead of like, we have a community theater named Community Theater.
And again, we're thinking about the power of a name and what that was.